Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about some player props I like on Prizepicks for the NBA slate on Wednesday, November the 9th. Now we do have a very big slate today once again. I think we have 13 total games, so there is a lot to choose from. And I'm actually making this video on Tuesday night. I'm recording this video a day early. There were no NBA games on Tuesday, so Prizepicks actually has a lot of their board already up for Wednesday's game. At the time I'm making this video, a lot of the props have been posted. We have a lot of fantasy scores up as well, so a lot to choose from today. Got 3 props I'm going to give out in this video, guys. As always, I usually try and give out at least like 2 to 3 plays. I do have more Prizepicks plays that I do give out over on Patreon. Usually, depending on how many games there are, how much there is that I like, I will give anywhere from like 2 to 5 additional plays over on Patreon. I give a full write-up for each play that I provide over there. If you guys want to check that out, as always, Patreon content is linked down below in the description. You can see all that I do provide over there. Before we talk through our plays for today, guys, as always, please hit that like button if you do enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And if you are new to Prizepicks, make sure to sign up and use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100 when you do sign up with my promo code. I do want to recap our plays from Monday's NBA slate. We gave out 3 picks on Monday, cashed all 3 of our plays. Hopefully you guys did tail those 3 plays. We took Karl-Anthony Towns over 24.5 points. He came through for us, finished with 25 points, barely went over. We took Nikola Jokic over 23.5 points. He came through for us as well. I think he finished with 26. And then we took Alperen Şengün over 8.5 rebounds, and I'm pretty sure Şengün finished with 10 or 11 rebounds. So cashed all 3 of our plays Monday. Was a really good day to, good start to the week. Hopefully we can cash all 3 of these plays again, continue this little nice little, kind of stretch we've been on lately. Been doing pretty well with these YouTube plays. I hope you guys have been making some money tailing these picks. But let's talk through our plays for Wednesday, guys. We got a big board, lots available right now. Got 3 fantasy score props, I got 2 fantasy score props I like for today, and then I have a points prop that I like. Fantasy score is usually like my favorite category to look at, and there's a lot of fantasy score props up right now as of Tuesday night when I'm making this video. So for the first pick, we're going to talk about Damian Lillard. 39.5 fantasy points for Damian Lillard. I like the over here. You look at Damian Lillard over his last few games, last 5 games. He's gone over this in 3 out of his last 5. Last 2 games have been pretty disappointing for Lillard. The game on October 26th, I'm pretty sure I think he might have got injured in that game. I'm not 100% sure. I need to pull up the game log real quick, just confirm that. So yeah, he did play 26.5 minutes. He might have gotten injured in that game. I can't remember. It also was a blowout. The Blazers lost that game by 21. And then Lillard, he's been injured. I think he's missed like the last few games, 3 or 4 games. He returned from his injury last game against Miami, same matchup. He played 34.5 minutes in his first game back from injury. So clearly there were no limitations for Damian Lillard. He wasn't very productive. He had 19 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and finished with 27 fantasy points. But again, those were 2 pretty tough matchups against the Heat. The Heat are one of the better defensive teams in the league. The Hornets this season have actually not been as bad defensively as they were last season, but still, this is a much, much better matchup. And looking at Damian Lillard's game log, he's played 6 games this season. He's gone over 39.5 fantasy points in 3 out of their 6 games. There was 1 game where he finished just short, 38.8. But then you see these 3 games, 52, 47, 52. Looking at Damian Lillard so far in the 6 games he's played in this season, he has still had like a really, really high usage rate. He's leading the team with a 33% usage rate. So far this season, he's averaging 1.17 fantasy points per minute. Given that he played 34.5 minutes in his first game back, I'm expecting pretty big minutes for Damian Lillard here. 35-36 is what he normally plays. I think this game can stay close. Charlotte, they've kind of been struggling lately. They haven't been playing that well. They've been getting blown out. But this game is being played in Charlotte. Right now it's a 4.5 point spread. If we do get a close game here, I think we get 35-36 minutes from Damian Lillard. He should average well over a fantasy point per minute. I feel like this fantasy score line could be like 41, 42.5. I feel like 39.5 is definitely too low for this matchup. So this is the first prop that I do like for today. Is going to be Damian Lillard to have more than 39.5 fantasy score. Also do want to mention, for what it's worth, his last 4 games against Charlotte, Lillard's put up 59.8, 34.8, 48.8, and 43.1 fantasy points. So last 4 games against Charlotte, he's gone over this line in 3 out of 4 games. I think it's a good matchup. It's definitely a much better spot than his last 2 games against Miami where he struggled. I feel like this could be a big bounce back game for Lillard. 39.5 fantasy points. Give me the over on this one. Then our next play, again, it's going to be another fantasy score. We're going to go down to Jalen Brunson. 33.5 fantasy points for Jalen Brunson. Also like the over here. So if you look at Jalen Brunson over his last 5 games, he's gone over this now in 4 out of his last 5. So far this season, he's been averaging about 37 fantasy points per game. He's been pretty productive with the Knicks this year. We kind of expected that to be the case. We saw last season whenever Jalen Brunson got to play without Luka when he was on the Mavs. Brunson was a fantasy point per minute player without Luka. So far this season, he's been well over a fantasy point per minute player with the Knicks. He's got the second highest usage rate, the third highest usage rate on the team. 23.1% usage rate behind Julius Randle, behind R.J. Barrett. Derrick Rose does have a pretty solid usage rate as well, but Derrick Rose plays most of his minutes off the bench. He's not going to be too much of a factor. But so far this season, Brunson, 23.1% usage rate. He's averaging 1.08 fantasy points per minute. He's been averaging about 34 minutes per game this season. Usually in close games when it's no foul trouble or anything crazy like that, nothing random happens, Brunson usually plays about 34, 35 minutes, and he should average over a fantasy point per minute. He's been a fantasy point per minute player this season. And this is a really good matchup against the Nets. The Nets this season have definitely been a bad defensive team. They've been better lately, but they're still not a team I think we should really fear. So far this season, looking at defensive rating, the Nets this season, they rank 22nd in defensive rating, so they're bottom 10 in defensive rating. Brooklyn, in terms of pace, they've been towards the bottom of the league in pace. They're 27th in pace. The Knicks are also more towards the bottom of the league. They're about middle of the pack. They're 13th. But this game still does have a pretty decent total. Right now, this game has a 223 total. Brooklyn is favored by 2.5, so this is obviously a game that expects to stay close. Should be somewhat high scoring. And again, Brunson's gone over this line. 4 out of his last 5 games. He's played 10 total games this season. He's gone over this line in 7 out of 10 games. The 3 games where he did not go over, one game he played just 28 minutes. I believe it was a blowout against Detroit. Still had 31 fantasy points in just 28 minutes. There was another game against Milwaukee, really, really tough matchup. He only had 19 fantasy points against Milwaukee, but we'll kind of give him a pass there. Really tough spot. And then against Atlanta, 31 minutes. He might have lost some minutes in that game as well due to blowout, not 100% sure, but he had 28 fantasy points in 31 minutes. Again, normally Brunson's playing 34, 35, maybe even 36 minutes a night. Should average over a fantasy point per minute. I think this is a pretty good matchup against Brooklyn. So far this season, against the point guard position, Brooklyn is giving up the 4th most fantasy points to the point guard position. We've seen a lot of good scoring guards have some big games against Brooklyn. I think this could be a solid game for Brunson here. 33.5 fantasy points. I feel like this line could be maybe 35.5, 36.5. I definitely think 33.5 is a little bit too low. So that will be our second prop for today. And then third and final prop we're going to talk about is a points prop. Going to talk about CJ McCollum. 19.5 points for CJ McCollum. I feel like this line is a little bit too low, and I also like the over here. So looking at CJ McCollum, he has gone over this line in 4 out of his last 5 games. Really, really struggled last game against Indiana. He only had 9 points, which is kind of weird. Normally you would not expect CJ McCollum to just have 9 points. McCollum is a pretty good scoring guard. Obviously, we all know CJ McCollum's always been a good scoring guard. Even playing with this Pelicans team, playing with Zion, playing with Brandon Ingram, playing with Jonas Valanciunas, CJ McCollum still had a pretty solid usage rate. He's 3rd on the team in usage this season, 26.2% usage rate, which is behind Zion, who's got a 29.3% usage rate, and then Brandon Ingram, 29.1%. CJ's averaging, though, 20.5 points per 36. He should play about 36 minutes here. Against the Bulls, I think this is an okay matchup. I don't want to say it's like the best matchup ever, but I think it's one CJ McCollum can have some success in. So far this season, looking at pace, the Bulls are relatively, they've been somewhat of a fast-paced team. They're 11th in pace. In terms of defensive rating, they've been pretty solid defensively as a team. They got the 5th best defensive rating. But CJ McCollum, I just think this line is too low for a scorer as good as CJ McCollum. He's played also in 10 games this season, and he's gone over this line in 7 out of 10 games. And I do want to mention the 3 games that CJ McCollum did not score 20 points. So obviously last game against Indiana, he came up short, but he shot 3 for 11. He shot 3 for 11, had a very poor shooting game. There was a game against Phoenix where he came up short, finished with 17 points. He shot 6 for 19 in that game. And then there was a game against Dallas where he came up short. He had 14 points. He shot 6 for 20 in that game. So basically the 3 games where CJ McCollum did not score 20 points, he shot pretty much 32% from the field or worse. Obviously, 32% from the field. If McCollum shoots 32% from the field, we're probably going to lose the prop anyway because that's a pretty poor shooting game. On the season, he's been shooting about 42% from the field on average. So normally he's been a pretty efficient shooter. He's a guy that can knock down shots efficiently. He's got a good mid-range jumper. He's just a good scorer in general. He can get to the free throw line as well. And 20 points, I think, is a line that CJ McCollum, more times than not, is going to hit. Again, he's been averaging over 20 points per game this season. He's had 20 points or more in 7 out of 10 games. And like I just said, the 3 games he did not get 20 points were all, those were all very poor shooting games from CJ McCollum. I also do want to mention that right now on DraftKings Sportsbook, they have CJ McCollum's points prop set at 19.5, slightly juiced on the over, minus 125 on the over there for McCollum's points. But I think this is just a line that CJ McCollum can hit. I think this line, could be a point or two higher. As I've said before, and we saw on Monday, like these points props, you're never going to see a guy like greatly outproduce their points prop. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns barely went over. We took it at 24.5 and he finished with 25. Jokic, we took it 23.5 and he finished with 26. Like, McCollum's not going to go out there and score 45 points today. I mean, I guess he could if he's feeling it, but normally I think on average he's scoring like 20 to 24 points, which is why I kind of like this prop. I feel like this line could be like 20.5, 21.5. I definitely think 19.5 is a little bit too low. So that is going to be our third and final prop for today. CJ McCollum to have more than 19.5 points. And these are 3 picks I do like for Wednesday's NBA slate, guys. It's a big one, 13 games, a lot of props to choose from. Again, I'm making this video on Tuesday night, but a lot of the boards are already posted for Tuesday. These are the props that I felt the best about, kind of from what's available right now. Once Prizepicks adds some more props, they'll have their full board posted sometime Wednesday afternoon. On Wednesday afternoon, I will share more Prizepicks plays I like for today, probably anywhere from like 2 to 5 additional plays. It is a big slate, so I would expect it to be more towards the latter there, probably like 3 to 4, maybe 5 plays. I'll share those over on Patreon. If you guys do want more Prizepicks plays from me, check out the Patreon, link down below in the description. You can see all that I do provide over there. But best of luck on this slate, guys. If you are tailing these 3 picks, hopefully we can hit all 3 of these plays, make some money tonight. If you guys enjoy these Prizepicks videos, hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. Also, if you are not signed up for Prizepicks, use promo code NOAH. You will get your first deposit matched up to $100. Bottom of the screen down there. Promo code NOAH gets you your first deposit matched up to $100. But best of luck tonight, guys. As always, appreciate you checking out these videos. Hit that like button if you enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button. And again, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Best of luck tonight. Peace.